You thought Epstein Island was bad. Wait till people find out about this place. Research the Getty Museum, a 940,000 square foot fireproof paedophile fortress with 12 stories underground. 2 million women and children were underneath here last year. Every A-list celebrity has a secret elevator at their house that leads to a tunnel system which all lead to the Getty Museum. Underground paedophile lair and dungeon that has been there for hundreds of years. Sure would be amazing to make this go viral and have this exposed on MSM. Imagine when everyone finds out about what has been going on literally under their feet. They can't stop us all. Let's hope this goes viral. Speaking of pedos, there's an appropriate little picture, isn't it? WCA doctor, death doctor. DWP put immense pressure on Atos to find claimants fit for work. Yes, the government put tremendous pressure on a corporation to basically kick people off what they are entitled to, because they used to be called entitlements, but then they changed it to benefits, because entitlements can't be taken away, but benefits can. A company paid to assess disabled people's fitness for work was put under immense pressure by the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, to find claimants ineligible for out of work disability benefits, official records have revealed. Yes, our own loving government are trying to kill all the disabled people. DWP has insisted for years that there was no such pressure placed on Atos Healthcare, the controversial outsourcing giant, to find disabled people fit for work and therefore not eligible for employment and support allowance, ESA. But a new document unearthed by the family of Michael O'Sullivan, a disabled man who took his own life after being found unfairly fit for work, shows that an Atos doctor made it clear that the DWP was partly to blame for the decisions to find him ineligible. Michael O'Sullivan's death in September 2013 led to a coroner blaming failings in the notorious Work Capability Assessment (WCA) system for his death, and writing to DWP to request urgent changes to prevent further deaths. Those changes were never made, and further deaths have continued to be linked to the WCA over the last 5 years. The claim was contained in evidence provided to the General Medical Council, GMC, nearly 3 years ago, when it was investigating complaints about Dr. Fathi Awad Sharif, the orthopaedic surgeon who carried out the face-to-face assessment of Michael O'Sullivan in March 2013. The doctor's representatives told GMC investigators, following the conversation in incapacity benefit to ESA, the DWP put immense pressure on Atos to disability analysis to deem claimants fit for work when they previously would have qualified for benefits. The government, they're out to murder us all. France grinds to a halt in the biggest strikes of Macron's presidency. Rail and air transport, as well as schools and policing, hit by walkouts over pensions changes. Emmanuel Macron is facing the biggest strikes of his presidency as French rail workers, air traffic controllers, teachers and public sector staff staged walkouts and took to the streets against proposed changes to the pension system. Rail services almost ground to a halt, with 82% of drivers on strike and at least 90% of regional trains cancelled, amid fears that the open-ended transport disruption could continue for days. In Paris, 11 out of the 16 metro lines were shut, forcing commuters to scramble to hire bikes and scooters. Many schools were closed, and even some police unions warned of symbolic closure of certain police stations. Shops along the route of a march in Paris were advised to close in case of violence by agent provocateurs on the edges of the demonstration. So France is up in arms because its government is totally corrupt. And what do? We sit here and whinge and moan instead of coming together and ending this evil, satanic corruption. The homeless death statistics are shocking, but the true total may be even higher. Last year, 726 people died on the streets of England and Wales. Pathologist Sebastian Lucas explains why the official numbers might be wrong. I got a jolt reading Simon Hatterston and Daniel Lavelle's Empty Doorway article on the death of Guyla Remez, who was found by Westminster Tube Station last December. I realised I had autopsied his body at the request of Southwark coroner. I was not at the inquest. Pathologists are called to give evidence in person only if there is uncertainty about the cause of death, if the relatives wish it, but here neither condition applied. My written cause of death, alcohol toxicity, was the conclusion, but my original full version did not appear. For it I had added homelessness to be considered as at inquest. It was considered, but it could not appear on the final death certificate because homelessness is not listed as a disease in the International Classification of Diseases, although it does feature in the annex entitled Factors Influencing Health Status or Contact with Health Services. I wrote it only to remind the coroner of what I thought was a fundamental reason why Remez died. The government, they're out to kill us all. We need to get rid of them before they get rid of us. Tory candidate says disabled people should be paid less as they don't understand money. Tory councillor says that people with learning difficulties should be paid less. A Tory candidate has been filmed telling a hustings event that people with learning disabilities should be paid less than minimum wage as they don't understand money. I'll tell you who don't understand money. The MPs. They understand when it's going into their bank account, but they don't understand what the rest of us need it to live on at the moment, because we need to get rid of every single MP. That is the only way we're going to end this evil, satanic corruption that we're in. Sally Ann Hart, the Conservative candidate for Hastings and Rye, was met with jeers and boos by a horrified audience as she defended sharing an article that suggested paying disabled people less. If you're voting, just don't vote Tory. Don't vote Labour. Don't vote Lib Dem. Don't vote Green. Don't vote any party. Vote independent. If you're that stupid, you don't know what's going on, at least try and put someone that's going to say something for you. Even though they might be as bad, but they're not going to be as corrupt. Shivering schoolchildren who can't afford coats leave teacher crying in classrooms. A teacher in Lincolnshire cried in her classroom after seeing school children turning up in broken shoes and without winter coats. The primary school teacher, who wishes to remain anonymous, revealed many of her pupils arrived shivering, cold and with soaking wet feet due to their lack of proper clothing. She stated that their parents can't afford to buy them warm attire for winter, and some of them also don't have enough to eat at home. As a result, she often ends up giving the pupils secret snacks such as apples, bananas and cereal bars during the day because they are so hungry. The teacher said, "It is so upsetting that in this day and age people have to go through this hardship. We do all we can as a school, but it's only solving the problem at the superficial level. One child in my classroom has been arriving to school in a jacket which was brought for a family occasion, while another has been showing up in old worn-out school shoes. The teacher told Grimsby Live that her school provides children with plimsolls when they arrive with wet socks or feet." She continued, "It was heartbreaking to hear that one of the children went without tea and breakfast because their mum and dad hadn't done a food shop. It is not all children who are going without, of course, but in my opinion, and I'm sure most would agree, Just one child going hungry is one too many. Thank you, government. They're the ones that causing this. Whether you want to accept it or not is down to you. I'm just the messenger. Just telling you how it is. Jeremy Clarkson tells mad and dangerous 16-year-old Greta Thunberg to go back to school and shut up in Australia TV rant. Now, I don't normally like Clarkson, but in this, he sounds like he's on the money. Jeremy Clarkson, 59, told Greta Thunberg, 16, to shut up and go back to school. His remarks are at least in a series of attacks against the environmental activist. She's mad, she's dangerous, and she's causing young children sleepless nights. The outspoken broadcaster has long been a critic of global warming science. Well, I actually might start to like him a bit now then. Jeremy Clarkson has told Greta Thunberg to shut up and go back to school in an attack on the teenage environmental twat. The outspoken broadcaster, 59, hit out at the Swedish campaigner who he dubbed mad and dangerous, the latest in a series of attacks against the 16-year-old. Clarkson, who was fired from the BBC in 2015 after a round with Top Gear producer over a steak, was a long-time critic of global warming science, but recently admitted he'd had a change of heart after filming in Southeast Asia. The television presenter, who was in Australia promoting the latest season of the Grand Tour, doubled down on his criticism of the climate change campaigner. She's mad and she's dangerous, and she's causing young children sleepless nights with her idiocy. He said, I think she needs to go back to school and shut up. Politician tells parents babies do actually masturbate in push for sex ed in schools. Yes, you're hearing that correct. A politician said babies wank. I tell you what, this tells you who is a paedophile. This politician is definitely on the paedophile agenda. Alfred Kinsey, Child Abuse Education, Labour Party, Masturbation, Pamela Kearns, Propaganda, Public Schools, Sex Education, United Kingdom. December 4th, 2019. LifeSite News. According to the conservative Irish media outfit Gript, the ongoing debate over sex education in that county took a particularly bizarre turn last month when one progressive politician made the stunning claim at Gript News described it. Labour Party, what a shock, but it doesn't matter, Labour or Conservative or Liberals, they're all pedos. Labour Party councillor Pamela Kearns shocked attendees at a public meeting about sex education on Tuesday night when she informed the crowd that babies do actually masturbate. The packed meeting, held in Temple Logue and open to the public, was organised by Let Kids Be Kids, a group of parents concerned about proposals to radically change sex education in primary and secondary schools. This is a paedophile agenda. At the meeting, speakers pointed to the recent report by the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, which referred to World Health Organization guidelines on sex education. Those guidelines recommended teachers teaching children between 0 and 4 years old, they're still babies, early childhood masturbation. This is satanic, absolutely satanic, paedophilic. They go hand in hand. Parents at the meeting raised serious concerns over whether this was age appropriate and said they were concerned the new curriculum sexualised children. Councillor Kearns, or should we call her paedophile Kearns, who is a preschool teacher, that's even worse, responded by saying, I don't agree with pretty much everything that has been talked about here this evening. I'm a mother and I'm a parent. She missed out, a paedophile. And I'm a preschool teacher. Paedophile. Voter ID. Government announces plan to prevent UK citizens voting without photographic proof of identity at polling stations. This is them trying to bring in photo ID by the back door. That's what this is all about. There is no evidence to justify this new scheme, says experts. expert says, as Labour accuses Johnson of attempting to rig the next general election. The government has announced plans to prevent people from voting unless they can provide photographic identification, prompting accusations it is attempting to rig the next election. They're all rigged anyway. Under plans unveiled in the Queen's speech, Boris Johnson's Conservative will require voters to produce photo ID at the ballot box for parliamentary elections and English local elections in what critics have called a dangerous undemocratic reform. A trial of the scheme in local elections this year saw 800 people reportedly turned away from polling stations, leading Labour to urge the policy be abandoned immediately. On Monday, Shadow Voting Minister Cat Smith claimed the announcement was a blatant attempt by the Tories to rig the result of the next general election. Voter ID, intended to tackle electoral fraud and protect our democracy, is among a number of electoral changes that government is seeking to introduce. Under the scheme, anyone who does not have photographic ID will be able to apply for a free document proving their identity. But Darren Hughes of the Electoral Rolls Reform Society said these plans will leave tens of thousands of legitimate voters voiceless. What about voting by post? Are they going to provide any of that? Well, they don't care because that's the main thing that these bastards use to fix and rig elections anyway. A 5-metre tall human skeleton unearthed in Australia. Alice Springs. What could be the largest human skeleton ever discovered has been unearthed by a team of archaeologists from the University of Adelaide at the Uluru archaeology site near Ayers Rock. In Uluru Kata, Chintia National Park reports the Adelaide Herald this morning. The gigantic hominoid specimen that measures an incredible 5.3 metres tall, 17 feet and 4 inches, was discovered near the ancient ruins of the only megalithic civilization ever discovered in Australia, which makes the discovery twice as puzzling, admits Professor Hans Zimmer of the University of Adelaide. The discovery of the Uluru archaeological site last year already took us by surprise, but this new find is just jaw-dropping. He admits visibly dumbfounded. Theoretically, a 5-metre tall humanoid cannot exist. How did this occur? How is this possible? Although this discovery is fascinating, we are left with more questions than answers. And that's because our entire history is an utter lie. Mirror. £10 off Iceland when you spend 40 might be worth you having paying however much. 80p, blimey egg. 80p, but you get 10 quid, so yeah, maybe worth it. BBC challenged Chicken PM. How can anyone trust him? Presenter Andrew Neil says Johnson after he runs scared of TV grilling. Savage, whatever. Metro. Oven ready and set to grill. BBC Rottweiler throws down gauntlet to Prime Monster. But the clueless chimp hasn't got a clue. The Guardian. The rising toll of measles, nearly 10 million cases and 142,000 deaths. This is fear-mongering to get you to take the injection, which is their primary kill method, that and chemtrails. Neil tells PM to face questions of truth on trust. They'll never do that because they're nothing but a bunch of lying bastards. Day of rage as thousands protest against Macron. There's someone else that needs to face the guillotine in his case. And his wife and the Rothschilds and every other one involved with him. And the mentoring of that evil satanic bastard. The Times. Surge in £1 million property sales across the regions. Brexit Party defectors urge Farage to withdraw. Leader lashes out as 4 quit and back Tories. Woman lives after heart stops for 6 hours. You see, we're amazing creatures, and this is not real. This is all a facade. This is a hologram, if you like. Daily Fail. Brexit Party bigwigs urge vote Boris. Crushing day for Corbyn as Farage MEPs resign and back Tories, and 70 Labour whistleblowers expose shocking dossier of hateful anti-Semitism in pot. Anti-Semitism, my bollocks! I'm sick of this anti-Semitic, but that should be a banned word because that is just used whenever they want it. You said something bad against the Zionists, have you? Oh, well, that's anti-Semitism. Here's looking at you, kids, but can you guess their star parents? I couldn't give a shit. Telegraph. Corbyn has made Labour a welcoming refuge for anti-Semites. The party is cast in his image. Oh, piss off. Deadliest year in the capital for a decade. By design, by the Zionists. Or the government, whichever you want to confirm, but you'll find that all the leaders are also Zionists. And Johnson is a self-admitted Zionist. Traitor to humanity, Zionism is. Military chief, Russian fake news is warfare. Okay, let's have a go Russia, shall we? Plastic warning over Christmas jumpers. French super strike is Macron's biggest test. But he's just going to keep going because he knows he can't back down now. That's why they're all keeping going. They know we know what the game is. We know they're planning to murder us all. But they can't stop because it started. So it's down to us either stand up and hold them to account or let them just kill us all. Crunch time for Corbyn. I'll come back to that. Genetic testing trial for GP patients. Trump impeachment to go ahead. Our democracy is at stake. Leslie Manville on her Hollywood break after 47 years. Back to Corbyn. Exclusive last-ditch appeal to wobbling Labour voters. Think what the last 9 years have done to your community and your society. Labour leader and Johnson go head-to-head tonight in one of final chances to shift poll with 6 days to go. Until the idiots go and say, yeah, you can vote, you can be my leader, you can be a... And I've even got friends that go, yeah, oh, Corbyn's the man, Corbyn. No, he's controlled opposition, like everyone is. It's all a game and we're the prize. The dumbest ones will vote for their own slave ship. BBC's Andrew Neil lays down gauntlet to PM over our unready interview, as Tory officials expect majority and try to avoid risks. Johnson plays down chances of no deal trade with EU and declines to apologise for impact of austerity. Well, let's put that another way. Declines to apologise for the at least 120,000 him and his lot have murdered. And I'm not beating about with manslaughter, corporate manslaughter bullshit. It's out and out murder by the government. Express. Silver Spitfire returns after 27,000-mile mission. £10 off Iceland. Oh, how much is this paper? Maybe it's cheaper. 65p. There you go. You can get it off. Get the Express. They're all shit, but at least you might save 10 quid if you spend 40. PM writes to Corbyn savaging plan to give EU citizens the vote. Boris fury over new plot to fiddle Brexit. Jolly good show, Holly. Distraction. The scum. Corbyn's 9 acts of Jew hate. I'm just the Zionist papers. Bravery on the bridge. They're still going on about that shit. False flag. Although I will say something about that. I'm beginning to think maybe something did happen. Maybe that guy did stab someone. Just maybe he did. Because if you go and watch the videos again, I want to know 2 things. One, when they've got him pinned down, why does the cop drag the guy that's pinning him down away so they can shoot him? And the second reason for that, I'll give you the answer to, is because he may, and if you watch Darren Brown stuff, you'll see everybody, well, many, can be programmed to go and do that sort of thing. And then Once they're programmed in to go and do that, this is if it happened. Once they're programmed in to go and do it, how do you stop him being interviewed afterwards and finding out what happened? You drag the guys that are holding him down away and you shoot him, kill him. That way, there's no questions asked. He can't say that he'd been brainwashed, if it happened at all. Extinguisher warrant has conviction for manslaughter. But terror victim Jack helped turn his life round. Hero on parole. Jungle Joss's hubby 3 in bed cheat. Now here is a hero on parole, whilst at the same time they're pushing no parole for anyone. And yet there's a hero on parole. You see how they turn everything and twist everything? Utter waste of paper. How much is this? 45p. This is, well, even bigger waste of paper, but it's the cheapest one, £10 off Iceland. When you spend 40. 45p to save a tenner. If you're doing Iceland shopping, might be worth it. Simon's dog nap anguish. Andrus bet 46,000 on game. Jez's rage at Greta. Oti and Kelvin struggle. I don't know who they are, but she looks like she's out of it. Harassed by vicar of Dibley's girl. Dawn and Lenny's daughter denies threats to ex. FT. France resists Macron vision. Saudi Aramco's 25.6 billion breaks IPO record despite valuation blow. Capitalisation short of Prince's 2 trillion target. Raider issue a foreign listing hopes faded. No deal, no coalitions for Labour in hung Parliament pledge McDonnell. Zoo uses captive to spur freedom in wild. Yeah, close enough, isn't it? I think is she a Kardashian maybe? I don't know. I don't watch any of that TV shit. Sorry, but we are temporarily closed. Our servers are down. Be proud to be loud. You are worthy to be heard. Now go make some noise. A motivational speaker. What doesn't kill me makes me curiouser. And that is so true in my case. Social media censorship, protecting you from reality.